COTA, but it ended up being the guy who deserved to win that race. Tyler Reddick wins at COTA. We have some interesting developments that have happened during the week. My name is Dan. This is my son, Nick. I'm at home. He's away at college. This is how we enjoy the NASCAR Cup season together. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing good. And like you said, a frustrating end. I was so nervous because I hope you agree that Reddick deserved the win. And I was worried every restart that something was gonna happen. He'd spin out or someone would just get around him and it'd just be complete robbery.
Yes, absolutely agree. I will tell you that I firmly believe that half the field also thought Reddick deserved to win that race. Otherwise, I don't know that it would have happened. Especially one guy who I just know that he thought Reddick deserved to win the race was Kyle Busch. I mean, he was going for the win himself too, but he was not going to wreck Reddick, and he didn't want to see that happen. That's my opinion.
I can see that. Obviously, he was still racing, but somewhat it did kind of look like he was a shield to Reddick for three overtimes.
Well, it was more than three restarts, but it was three green white
Yeah.
check-ins.
By that point, it had just gotten ridiculous. Like once Reddick started peeling away and then someone spins out and they call a caution, like it was starting to get annoying. So I guess good for Busch.
I know there's no connection between it all, but it was very interesting having Kurt Busch in the booth on the Fox broadcast, watching the guy who's driving the car he was in last season, and he's still an important part of that team. So it was very neat to see Kurt Busch reacting to Reddick being able to win that race.
Yeah, I enjoyed Kurt Busch on commentary, and he was even getting emotional seeing that car in the race. I thought it was a good moment, and I enjoyed him over some other previous guests, especially.
Yes, and so while we're on the booth, you had Gunther in the booth, which I think I enjoyed some of the things he had to say, but I just had a hard time understanding him.
Yeah. No, I agree. He did have some good insight, and I'm glad they brought him in for this kind of race. But I agree, some parts it was confusing, or he would say something that didn't make sense with what was going on. Overall, it was still good though.
Yes. And I liked that they had Chase Elliott as a guest in there too. I feel like he was a little bit uncomfortable. You know, he wasn't actually with them. I don't know where he was, but he did have some good things to offer in terms of giving us some insight into the race, I thought.
Overall, especially with all these guests, I think the commentary was really good for this race. Lots of insight.
Reddick deserved to win this race. I think it makes it even more impressive the fact that he was able to come out of every one of those late restarts still to be in the lead. Clearly, and this was even from practice and qualifying or the first practice session, it was very clear that he had the car to beat. And I think it's not only the car, but I believe that he is just the most skillful at getting around road courses right now.
hmm I agree with you, and I picked him to win. I knew he had the skill with this kind of stuff, and if out of all the drivers, I definitely have him up there on just navigating the field, staying out front because he always has a good car, and just I'd said like it'd been a slower start to the season, but here he is.
Yes. You know, a few weeks back, we were a little bit worried about Tyler Reddick's start, but we were chalking it up to the new team. I think we are fully in Tyler Reddick's season right now. Kudos to you. Your win pick for COTA was Tyler Reddick, and he was, of course, the winner. I picked Christopher Bell to win the race, and he was performing well. He did not survive one of those late restarts, and he ends up 31st. We had Kyle Larson as our consensus top three pick. He was involved in a wreck early in the race, and he was able to recover enough to finish 14th.
I thought that Larson was done because you see he like spins out and then he starts going again. I think Hamlin runs by and spins him out again. So I guess props to him for finishing 14th because it was an early kind of wreck, but I guess he recovered and just made it back up.
We both did very well with our sleeper picks for this race. Nick, your sleeper was Austin Cindric. He finishes 6th. My sleeper was Chris Buescher, and he finishes 8th. So I think we're picking up the pace here a little bit with our picks this season.
Yeah, we're getting there. And I feel more confident with road courses because there's just guys that I trust more to, there'll be challenges, but they'll be able to finish up top. So I felt a little more confident. Like Cindric, I was like, oh, unless something really bad happens, it's a top 10. And look what happened.
One guy I think we should mention, well, there's a few other guys we should mention due to some other developments, but Ross Chastain, he got wrecked pretty good in one of those late restarts, and I thought that was the end for him. He recovers. I don't remember how many restarts later, but he does make his way back up, and he finishes fourth in this race.
It's been a theme this season. Chastain's got the car and he's there some of the times, but he hasn't sealed the deal yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he was up there a lot of this race. And again, props to him for a recovery and finishing top 5. Lots of guys that I was kind of surprised still, like Stenhouse pulled out a top 10. Ty Gibbs was up there. Todd Gilliland was 10th.
Yes.
I mean, keep going. Lajoie, McDowell. It's the cards fell right for them at COTA. And I mean, I'm all for that.
So the Lajoie playoff run is a thing now. Maybe he can even sneak in a win. What do you think?
I mean, that'd be crazy if he wins. But the question is, do you think the playoffs are you're gonna have to win to get in by the end of the season?
I think it's still too early to say. We do have one repeat winner already.
Yeah, and Lajoie winning, in my eyes, is a long shot. But him getting consistent teens, maybe some top 10s, and there's some playoff spots, it's doable. Which I mean, I love seeing Lajoie in the playoffs.
Immediately after the checkered flag at COTA, Daniel Suarez was pretty upset. He had been there up front with a chance to contend for top 5, but there was one of those restarts where Daniel Suarez got the raw end of a deal where his teammate Chastain and Alex Bowman were both involved. He was angry at both of those guys, and so he let them know about it as they go onto pit road after the checkered flag. He tracks down Chastain, runs into the back of him, goes around, finds Bowman, does the same thing. Daniel Suarez, $50,000 fine, no points penalty.
It wasn't that egregious of a bump. It was just showing your displeasure. There's bumps all the time. I don't know.
Well, look, on these ending restarts, probably everyone in the whole field had a right to be angry.
Yeah.
I did see a post from Ryan Preece with one of your favorite phrases, Nick. Ryan Preece said, "What a bunch of hacks."
Yep. See, I mean, I'm not the biggest Priest fan. I'll cheer for him. Poor Priest gets in an accident. I know he just wants to race, so I agree with him.
The appeal was heard for the Hendrick drivers due to the modifications made to the louvers on their cars. The penalty of points was overturned for these drivers. And so now Alex Bowman once again is your points leader. Points were restored also to Larson and Byron. They still have the crew chief suspensions and the monetary penalty, but having the points restored, that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. And I saw, did you see Hamlin wasn't too happy about it? I guess I'm gonna have to go check out his podcast to hear what he has to say. I think it's fair though. Do you?
It's hard to say. I feel like in the Colleague appeal has not been heard yet. I think we'll probably hear something about that this week. I'm a lot more inclined to believe Colleague's explanation than Hendrick's, because Hendrick has been caught some shady things before. So I don't know if I would say that it's fair or what. I can say that I'm not surprised that they reversed the point reductions.
Yeah, I mean, especially if the Colleague appeal doesn't go through, I'd be a little more suspicious. But still, just the whole situation about the louvers and then the immediate drastic point penalty, crew chief stuff. It was kind of a quick call to make, and then them not even using the parts and all these different explanations makes it kind of a complicated scenario.
Yes, so I think we just move on from that. Let's talk about our power rankings here for a second. And Nick, I'm going to go first, and I want to ask you a question. Would it surprise you if I changed my number one in the power rankings?
I do not think it surprised me. You've held him there a long time, and I agree that he's a good driver. I just don't think he's number one right now. Did you change it?
No, I didn't change it. He's still
Okay.
number one. Um, he was strong at COTA. He's been strong everywhere. He's had two bad results based on being caught up in accidents. So I've still got Christopher Bell number one. As I go through all of my rankings, I did not have any drivers that moved more than two places. COTA is a bit different, so I didn't overreact based on results there. I did move Byron up to second place, and I also had Chastain and Kyle Busch coming back into my top five where they had fallen out. They've kind of been going back and forth in my top five.
I've still kept Byron at the top. He's shown enough there that he deserves to keep it. And like you said, I don't want to make any huge changes. I do acknowledge that there's going to be more road courses, so some of these guys could be special at these, but I didn't want to be any drastic, so I don't think any of my guys moved more than two also.
In my top 10, Tyler Reddick moved up one spot to eighth for me. I could have moved him a lot further, but I want to see this momentum that he's had. I want to see it carry over to another oval track. We might very well see that this week. If we do, you're probably going to see a big jump from Reddick on my rankings.
For sure. I agree with that change. I wasn't drastic too, but I do think that Tyler Reddick is really starting to heat up.
I had Bubba Wallace dropping a couple of spots down to 15th in my rankings. And just based on watching at COTA, let's just agree Bubba Wallace is not good on road courses.
I agree on that. I have him lower than you, but especially road courses, I do not expect much out of him.
I've still got him at 15th because I still think he's got that potential to be running top five. I still think he could win a race this season.
Just definitely not a road course. He's got some races when he's really good, he's fast, he's on, like, he's up front, maybe not leading laps, but he's there. And then some races, it's just completely off.
Well, and in his own words, he's been making mistakes. So we'll
Yeah.
see if he can recover from that. Chris Buescher has made his way back into my top 20. He's at number 20. He's a strong road course driver. I think he and Brad still have some momentum going. While the results haven't completely shown it, I'll be interested to see how both of those guys do at Richmond. They've both got some potential there.
I'm more on the Brad train than Buescher. I think Buescher's all right. I just have more faith in Brad being up there because they're teammates. They'll want to work together, but I just don't see Buescher up there pushing Brad to the win or him being up there to be pushed to the win. I have more faith in Brad pulling it off.
I think it was Heartbreak City for Allmendinger once again. Seems like this has happened to him at least once this season already, where he's been really strong and has been collected near the end. He was definitely collected after running basically top five all day.
Yeah, I agree. And COTA of all courses, I want to see Allmendinger go all out and go for it. And he was there, but just didn't work out well for him.
I still do not have Corey Lajoie in my top 20, but I will acknowledge that he is on the fringe. I just couldn't find anyone that I wanted to put him in front of. I know he's been in your top 20, but Corey Lajoie, well, we've already said it. This is a thing this season. He's strong for what he has been in previous years.
He's still on the edge, but I think he's got something good going for him this season, as long as he just keeps it up.
We return to a short, flat oval. We are going to Richmond. Today is Saturday. We're recording this. We're going to Richmond tomorrow. And Richmond is very much like the Phoenix track. So we've already seen one race on a similar track this season. We also, as of the time of recording this, we also have confirmed that qualifying has been rained out there. So the field is set by the metric. Alex Bowman will be on the pole. Kyle Busch will be on the front row with him.
I am kind of bummed because I wanted to see the qualifying. Like you said, it's similar to Phoenix. So I'd still assume, I mean, Byron starts third because of the metric. I'd still assume Byron would be up there on the pole almost. Logano might be up there. But I'm hoping for a good race. I doubt that Alex Bowman is going to hold the pole with all these fast guys up there. But I think this could be a good one.
So maybe we'll get some good competition. especially with the field not being set on speed, will make for some interesting things.
Yeah, exactly. With the movements, it'll be at least more interesting of a start. I hope it's a more interesting race, because you're right, it has kind of been down compared to the other stuff. Like, we got exciting. I mean, I consider COTA exciting, but hope it should be a good one. Hopefully a good winner too, another deserving winner.
Well, perhaps there is no deserving winner more than Kevin Harvick at Richmond.
That is true, and I think Harvick, he's been that guy, and especially with this being his last season, I think most people want to see a Harvick win and a Harvick playoff run. This might be the time for him to do it.
I think it definitely is. There are some other tracks that he is strong on, but Richmond, he is definitely one of his tops. And his results there, even recently, show that. So if we're looking at the strongest drivers for the Richmond race tomorrow, we can look to the Phoenix race that we've had earlier this season. In fact, it was just a couple of races ago. And we can look to the Richmond results from last year. Kevin Harvick, as mentioned, the results are probably better than anybody else has. Kevin Harvick won at Richmond in the fall of last year. He was second in the spring race last year. And then he was fifth just recently at Phoenix, and of course was close to winning that one at one point. So Kevin Harvick, I can't see a scenario where he's not running top 10 and probably top 5.
I agree. He's really coming in hot for these, and this could be one that he could win, no problem.
Denny Hamlin broke his cold start last spring, and he won the race in Richmond. He was fourth at Richmond in the fall, and then he ended up 23rd at Phoenix, and this was the whole time when he and Chastain had their deal. So he had been stronger than that, but finished 23rd. But Hamlin, probably going to be a strong car. William Byron finished third in the spring at Richmond last year, and William Byron was the winner at Phoenix a couple of races ago. So I expect, especially with the way he's been running, I expect him to definitely be up there.
Yeah, with these stats, these are exactly the guys that I've been figuring would be top win picks. Harvick, Hamlin, Byron especially. They all, I think, could pull it off.
So what about the other Hendrick drivers? I think you already mentioned Bowman. We already talked about him a little bit. Just for information's sake, Bowman finished 8th at Richmond in the spring last year. Bowman finished 9th at Phoenix just a little bit ago. Then we have Kyle Larson and Josh Berry. Josh Berry's back in the 9 car this week.
Yeah. I think Bowman will be good. He's been good this season. I just don't think he'll win this. Josh Berry, I don't even know if I'd say top 10. I've liked watching him. I really liked the guy that they put in the car last week, but he's got the car. It's not going to work out for him like that. Top 15 maybe.
Josh Berry was 10th at Phoenix.
I don't feel confident in that. What were Larson's stats though with some of these previous ones?
Okay, so Larson last year at Richmond, he finished 5th and he finished 14th. And then Larson was 4th at Phoenix just recently.
Yes, it could be the Hendrick show again. It really could be.
Other drivers to note, Christopher Bell at Richmond, he was 6th and he was 2nd last year. Christopher Bell finished 6th at Phoenix, so he's going to be up there.
What about Blaney?
Okay, yep. Blaney is another one to watch. He had finishes of 7th and 10th at Richmond last year, and Blaney was 2nd at Phoenix.
What about Brad? That's the other one that I...
Okay, so Brad, he has been strong at these tracks. The results recently have not borne that out, as we've kind of talked about how he seems to be running well, and then it just doesn't materialize at the end. Brad Keselowski had finishes at Richmond last year, 13th and 15th. He was 18th at Phoenix, but I venture to guess that none of those suggest how strong his car actually was.
Yeah, I think Brad, the stats don't show it, especially last season. Last season was last season, but I think he's more strong than you think.
Based on our discussions, based on your thoughts, have you got a win pick for tomorrow?
It's been kind of tricky. I've got guys like Hamlin possibly being up there. Byron's an easy pick, but I think I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick.
All right.
Hasn't won yet this season. This is one of the tracks that he's got a good shot. He starts 10th, so not much to work his way up through. And I believe that he can get up there and just hold it. I really hope that Kevin Harvick wins this one.
I think there's probably even some other drivers that would be happy if they didn't win to see Kevin Harvick win. I'm going to pick Christopher Bell to win this race because that's what I do. I'm going to keep picking Christopher Bell unless I've got a good reason not to until he wins. And it might be this week.
All right, let's hope so. For my sleeper pick, trying to figure it out. I don't want to pick a top guy as a sleeper because I just feel like it's too weird. I'm going to give it to Austin Cindric. Good sleeper pick in my eyes. He starts 6th. That's due to the metric, though. Let's hope he has a fast car. But if he can stay up there, stay in the top 5 throughout the race, Cindric has a chance to win.
My sleeper pick has definitely been a sleep, and it is Eric Almirola. So let me tell you why I think he is such a good sleeper pick. He is good on these types of tracks. Now, last week at COTA, he is not good on those types of tracks. He was terrible. But the previous 2 races before that, Almirola was very strong, and he had a tire issue in both of those races. Almirola has flashed some strength this season, and he's had some bad luck. So I think that he's going to come over that at Richmond. I think you could see Almirola even contending for the win tomorrow.
Just give us a new winner. I don't want it to be the Hendrick show again.
Okay, so we've got your win pick is Harvick in a Ford. Mine is Bell in a Toyota. We do need a consensus top 3 driver. And I think we could almost pick any of these names that we've been throwing about. You want to make a proposal there?
Well, we could easily go Byron as a safe top 5 pick. Easily. Hamlin, that's a little farther off, but it's not hard that Hamlin could finish top 3. Do you have any other names beside them too?
I think maybe we consider Larson. If we did Larson, I think it might be the 3rd week in a row where we've made him our top 3, which maybe that's a jinx on him. So why don't we let's think about this. Hamlin or Byron, who's going to be better in this race? They're both starting around the same area. I think Hamlin's a little bit behind, but I don't think that's going to make a lot of difference.
Yeah, Byron's 3rd, Hamlin's 11th. I'm kind of more leaning towards Hamlin for this one. I think Hamlin's hungry for something.
And Hamlin was the winner in this race last year.
Exactly.
So why don't we go with Hamlin as our consensus top 3 driver?
I like that pick.
Well, enjoy watching the race at Richmond. Let's hope that it's an entertaining one. We've had some pretty good entertainment these last few weeks, and I'm with you. I always like to see a winner that I feel like has been deserving, and so hopefully we'll get that too.
Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's not a snoozer like Phoenix. Get some good racing out there. Get some good sentimental Harvick victory, hopefully. If not, I'll take a couple other guys, but still, let's hope it's a nice one.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.